All right, welcome everybody. Starting right on time. Appreciate everybody being here. Before we call the meeting to order, I'd like to do an acknowledgement. We meet today on settled indigenous land, which is traditional territory of the Chinookan peoples of the Wasco, Wishram, Warm Spring, and Grand Ronde tribes. Let us honor this land and its traditional native stewards, past, present, and future, and strive today to embody a commitment of cultural equity and reconciliation, ecological conservation, and sustainability. I hereby call this meeting to order at 4:01 p.m. Tia, will you do a roll call, please?
Yes. Greg, Chair.
Here.
Megan, Vice Chair. Gisela. Matt.
Here.
And Jim.
Here. This is the first time Megan hasn't made a meeting.
I would have to look back at
She's always here. All right. Let that be put in the minutes. I'm harassing her about that. Noted. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Agenda item number 3 is the approval of the June 17th board meeting. They're all sent out in your packets. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review. Are there any board members that would like to make a change to those minutes? Not hearing any, I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you, Gisela. Sounds like Jim's going to second it. Any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And any opposed? Chair votes aye. Minutes are approved. Now's the time for public comment. I'm not seeing any except for we do have some people maybe on the call that not everybody knows. We have Josh here. He's going to talk here a little bit, and we have Matt. I think everybody's met Matt once.
Maybe once, yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the meeting, but we won't go through the whole public comment thing since we don't have public here, but you gentlemen are welcome to speak and ask some questions at any time. We'll move on to agenda item number 5, which is the quarterly financial report. Matt, the floor is yours.
Maybe Matt, if you could just go ahead and introduce yourself real quick, since we've met you once, but maybe briefly, but it's been a while.
Absolutely. So I'm Matt Apkin. I'm a partner at Marina & Company. I have been back at Marina & Company for a little over 4 years. Previous to that, I was finance director at the City of Lebanon for about 4.5 years. And then previous to that, I was here at Marina & Company doing audits and various things here. So I know I requested some access to share my screen so that you guys can all go through the report with me. Looks like I have that access now, so I will share that. Are you guys seeing 2 pages here with kind of the management report and the memo?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So feel free to stop me at any time if you have any questions. And I'll also kind of stop and see if you guys have any questions as well. So I think you're pretty familiar with this report template. This is what Emily's used in the past. So we just kind of continued to use that. So first, looking over here at this side on the statement of financial position comparison, you can see the various bank accounts that you guys have differences between last year and this year. Overall, that difference is about $444,000, almost $45,000. A large majority of this is due to capital purchases made that you hadn't been reimbursed for last year at this time. And so once those reimbursements came in, it increased your balances back up to kind of a higher amount. Going down further into the current liabilities, you have a credit card that's outstanding. This is kind of traditional. At the end of the year, you had about $2,800 outstanding. I think you're normally used to seeing a couple other items here, which are payroll related and some things like that. But staff at the end of the fiscal year try to make sure those all get paid before the end of the fiscal year, which is why you don't see them listed on this report. They also weren't listed on the report from last year because it's a usual thing that you guys pay those before the end of the year. So nothing unusual there. You can see the unassigned fund balance. If you add the net income with that, you get a total of about 100 or 1.53 million, which is up from last year as well. And you can see the restricted STIF funds have increased slightly, while the restricted capital asset funds have decreased because part of that was used for capital purchase. You can see over here, kind of same comparisons, quarter by quarter. You can see in the red is the STIF fundings. It's gone up a little bit, down a little bit, and then it's rebuilt up to almost as high as it's been. And then the unrestricted as well has been kind of up and down, following that same pattern of when you guys receive reimbursements. Any questions thus far before we go into the statement of activities? Doesn't sound like it.
Sure.
So, all right. So you can see fair revenues have increased slightly. Some contract revenue also increased. I believe a lot of that was from the U.S. Department of Forestry. Increased the amount that they gave. Federal funds have also increased, while state funds have decreased. The nature of what you guys do, you sometimes get federal funding, you sometimes get state funding, and sometimes it shifts back and forth. But overall, pretty even amount that you get. You can see the difference between last year and this year as a total was about $93,000 more this year. Seems like you're in a good spot there. Here's comparison on kind of those various items again. Budgetarily, you guys budget hoping that you get a number of different grants or are waiting for reimbursement on various grants. And so you can see that it is below budget by about 9.3 million. But these are related to capital projects that are still planned, but yet to be executed until those funds are received. Moving into cost of goods sold, you can see fuel costs were up this year. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody with what's happening in the world. Your operating expenses have decreased significantly. And a good majority of that is to the dispatch contract that you guys have. I think you've heard this probably every quarter. That was paid for 3 years, so you're not showing those expenses in every single quarter, but they were paid last year, so it's reduced the rest. All the other things are pretty similar. You get to the contract match. That's based on contracts and grants that you have, so you wouldn't expect it to necessarily be exactly the same as the prior year. But overall in a good position, and your net profits have increased from last year by $270,000. Moving into additional expenditures, and I guess I'll show this operating chart as well. Breaking it down from last year to this year, you can see that decrease. Again, that decrease was in the operating expenses, which is mainly from that contract for the 3-year dispatch. All right, going into the administrative expenses, you can see building expenses decrease while you've had a slight uptick in office supplies and expenses. And then professional services increased by about $14,500. The other administrative expenses, you can see bank charges, team building, staff training. Those have all remained pretty consistent year over year. And then you look year over year at total admin expense, and it's an increase of about almost $9,000, which is in line kind of with what we would expect. Here's another comparison of kind of those expenses. The operating expenses, as I've said, are still that 3-year dispatch contract. The administrative expenses, as we were just talking about, gives a good breakdown of those as well here. Moving into the personnel expenses. I like to look at these as a whole. Sometimes, taxes and benefits relate to overall wages. Wages went up, you would expect the other things to go up, which in this case is not the same. And so some of these benefits could relate to other items that are not related to wages exactly. So, but you can see the administrative versus the direct expenses here, year over year. So your direct expenses have gone up by about $35,000, while your administrative expenses, like I said, only went up by about $9,000. Or yeah, $12,000, excuse me. Going into the direct, again, $62,000 increase in wages. I can find out some more information on the decrease in the budget, because like I said, that is actually interesting that those have gone down. It could be related to benefits that are no longer offered. But let me dig into that for you. You can see from a capital outlay perspective, you had some things that you purchased last year that didn't get repurchased, and then you have this operational equipment, which I believe these are buses. But overall, there's a difference of about $452,000 between the 2 years. Overall, the net revenue at this point is about $444,000, which is $667,000 more than the loss from last year. That loss was due to the large amount of capital purchases that went out. And then the accounts receivable, there was about 20,700 outstanding. Trying to get to that part. You can see right here, these are all amounts coming from other institutions. Part of what Stevenson owed, they paid, and then there's another 7,500 coming, and then the experienced Mount Hood Gorge is 12,000, and you've got the field guide of $1,275, $74. Accounts payable actually was negative at the end of the year. Like I said, staff has done a great job at getting payments out. And so when you think about accounts receivable and accounts payable, those are shown on an accrual basis of accounting, which you guys report on a cash basis of accounting. But this is just kind of a good process for you guys to know, hey, this is what's receivable and this is what's payable. So this is only telling you that, hey, you've made sure to make sure your bills are paid in advance of when they're actually due, which is great. Moving into the budget to actual section, you can see in each of these areas for administrative that the actual expenses are below the budget. Same thing with the operating expenditures, they're below the budget, and capital is significantly below in those areas. And you're in a good place kind of moving forward. Do you guys have any questions on those? Anything that you want me to go into more detail on?
Matt, you're good?
Okay.
Yeah, not hearing any.
Is there any part of this that you would wish was presented differently? I know this is my first time kind of presenting this to you. So is there anything that you feel like you would want to see differently in the future?
Yeah, we want to see 3 different screens up there, maybe so the font is smaller.
I mean,
Um,
would you like me to go, like in the future, would you like to go through each one separately or?
no, I think high level sign, we all read it ahead of time anyway, so we do get both columns. Like I typically go down to the financials first and look and then go through your explanations there, which is really helpful.
Okay.
So yeah, we did find it handy when it was presented side by side so we could follow along with
Sounds
it.
great.
So I think his format works great for us.
So the only thing I'd say is page numbers. I like to follow on my iPad, and sometimes, you're bringing up left side is not next to the right side numerically.
And could that be focused better or is it just bad resolution?
It's bad resolution.
Okay. So page numbering,
You guys can't see that totally clear, right? Does it look a little blurry?
It's blurry, yeah.
It's age.
I have readers, but usually my long range is good. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt.
absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right. Back on to, and you're free to go if you want, or you're welcome to hang out. We always like to let people know that. Some people kind of awkward why they just sit there going, should I leave or should I not? So don't feel
Sounds
awkward.
good.
You want to leave. Okay,
Appreciate
thank you.
it. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
All
Matt.
right. Okay, now we're on to the meat of the agenda. We do have 7 different action items to go through, so it's a big board packet for everybody to review. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to go through that. We have moved Josh with STV up to the top, just in respect to his time, but he loves hanging out with us, so we'll go through that. But Amy, if you want to take us through agenda item 6, that would be great.
Sure, thank you very much. Well, yes, and apologies for the really big materials, but I thought there were some very important things in there for you to be able to review. So in your meeting materials, I have included a memo for the request for approval for architectural engineering design and construction management services contract with STV and approval of that. So the purpose is to present and request board approval for a contract and task order 1 with STV to provide architectural engineering design and construction management services for the CAT Transit Facility Development Program. So just a little bit of background to just remind everyone what we have done in order to get to this point. On March 12th, we issued a request for approval or proposals for the Transit Facility Development Program, which encompasses 3 critical infrastructure projects for CAT. The Interregional Transit Hub over at Port Property near the waterfront, a new bus barn storage and maintenance facility in our current park and ride lot, and a park and ride replacement facility, which would replace the current park and ride lot when we redevelop that, which will be across the street from our administrative facility. So on April 13th, STV submitted a formal proposal in response to the RFP. On May 13th, following an evaluation by the Proposal Review Committee, staff issued a notice of intent to award to STV contingent on the successful conclusion of fee negotiations and approval by the Board of Directors and execution of the formal contract agreement. So as of Friday, when I sent out the meeting materials, final fee negotiations were underway and expected to conclude by today. I am happy to say that those have been finalized. And sorry, I go to another. Yes. So we have completed a detailed analysis of the cost fee proposal provided by STV and concluded that it is fair and reasonable per FTA requirements. This means that fee negotiations have been successfully completed. In the memo, I did include some key considerations that I wanted the board to know. One was just the contract structure. It's a little different than what you guys have seen in the past. Per FTA regulations for architectural and engineering procurements, The base contract acts as a framework establishing legal and procedural rules and does not contain a not to exceed dollar amount. Instead, project scope and specific funding limits are authorized sequentially via the task orders. So I like to think of this contract as a rules document and not necessarily the same as, it doesn't include the not to exceed amount, which you typically see in the contracts that I bring to you guys. Then there's also, I have included in your materials, the task order 1 scope and funding request. So task order 1, if approved by the board, would allow STD to begin initial work over the next several months to keep the program on schedule. The awarded grant funding for this phase has not been formally cleared for reimbursement through ODOT. We have the contract. It is listed in there. It has been signed, but it's a category B funding. So it hasn't yet been moved to category A funding, which means that we can get reimbursed for it. So my understanding is that it should be moved to category B funding in October. So
Move to category A, you mean?
yes, move to category A, so can be reimbursed in
Okay.
October. We can still spend funds, but we can't get reimbursed. And there is a risk that for some reason, something might happen between ODOT and FTA and that funding might not get cleared for category A funding. So we have capped the task order 1 to a not to exceed amount of $50,000. The board may choose to lower this cap if it prefers to minimize the risk with the financial exposure, or you cannot approve it all and say that we need to wait until the funding goes to category A. So if for some reason, if this funding is not approved to go to category A, then we would need to pay for it with our reserves, which we do have the amount to do that. It's just not ideal. The reasons for moving forward with this and approving this work to get started now would be to allow us to get started on the NEPA work that it was required for the interregional transit hub and the initial design work that is needed for the park and ride across the street. The NEPA work is going to take about a year to get through. So the earlier we can get STD started on this work, the earlier we can move forward with that project and get it done in the funding constraints that we have.
Do we know what level of NEPA we need to go to?
They're still at preliminary. Well, actually, Josh, do you mind answering that?
Not at all. No, it's ultimately up to FTA in consultation with ODOT.
Okay.
We believe, and precedent would say that this would be a categorical exemption.
It's already disturbed land, bunch of other stuff around there.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of opportunity on that site to sort of pre-mitigate where we, as we're looking at the design, there's a lot of flexibility, there's a lot of space.
Yeah.
And so staying away from sensitive resources and essentially anything that could push it into a different category of NEPA will be really key.
Okay. C is the quickest route.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other additional questions? Did I review that specific
No, thanks for
piece enough? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then some other considerations that I did not include in the memo that I did want to make sure you guys were all aware of. So the payment method selected is the cost plus fixed fee method, which is the FTA preferred method. In our previous contracts, we typically use time and materials. So just want to make sure everybody was aware of that difference. Also, a rate sheet will not be included in the contract as stated in the draft contract that was provided to you, as this includes some information that's proprietary to STD, as STD has proposed cost information based on who is doing the work and not on position classification. Additionally, this information becomes outdated pretty quickly as it will change on an annual basis with staff increases. So staff has included that concluded that it makes more sense for this contract to add an exhibit with a chart that includes the estimated hours for each task, as this is the only thing CAT is able to negotiate with STD per FTA requirements. So on the table, I have included what that chart looks like since it was not in your meeting materials. And Tim is going to share just quickly what it looks like for those who are attending remotely. And this will be included in the final contract. And it's kind of hard to tell as it is kind of small. But it does include just the estimated hours for each task. So it gives us some data to include in the contract. Anything else to add to that? Josh?
It's like 6 point,
Maybe 5.
maybe 5.
Josh, anything else you'd like to add?
The only thing I'll add is that there's 2 sheets because we have a major teaming partner, DEA, who real experts in particularly in transit facility civil design. And so our civil lead and my deputy project manager for this would be from DEA. And so we have a cost sheet, a breakdown of hours sheet for them separately from us.
And I'm sorry, I also have not really introduced Josh very well. And so I'll ask if there's any questions and I'll give Josh an opportunity to just introduce himself a little bit for the board.
So if we don't get reimbursed, to say we stay at a category B, is there still another bite at the apple to move to category A to get paid at a future date, past October? Or if we miss that, are we just up to 50?
So I think what will happen is the actual signing of the contract amendment that allows the funding to go from category B to category A, that could get pushed back. So then that would just delay when we get reimbursed. Or FTA could just say, no, these funds are no longer available, and then we would be out to 50. So those are the things to consider.
And then after this first phase, what do we expect to have in hand? Like, what's the finished product look like?
After this first phase?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing?
Not at all.
Yeah.
So really this first phase is about developing kind of a sense of site assessment of what the site constraints are, what the opportunities are, and a needs assessment. So really digging into the operations side, thinking about the current operations, but also the future operations. And so kind of putting those pieces together. And so what the outcomes are of this first phase for the park and ride and for the intermodal hub are the needs assessment and the site constraints.
And the big reasons why we feel it's important to move those forward sooner rather than later is just if we want the timing of the park and ride or the construction of the park and ride to happen quicker so that we can then move forward with the bus barn and maintenance facility quicker, we need to get those initial assessment needs and all those other things done so that we can move forward with that as soon as possible so that we then can move forward with the bus barn and maintenance facility. And then the interregional transit hub is just because NEPA takes such a long time.
So afterwards, is it just kind of like an amoeba of the amount of square footage and space and available space at the existing lot, like what function would take up how much space kind of thing? Or is it, you know what I mean, as you go through a planning document of what you're.
So for the deliverables. what
Yeah,
that
the
would look like.
deliverables, we understand what.
So we're going to use that to set a baseline of sort of what the needs are.
Okay.
And those will include things like the access points, the turning radii, drainage for stormwater and criteria like that.
Okay.
Particularly for the transit hub, it needs to really look at all the different environmental categories that show up in NEPA.
Okay.
So that we can make sure we're not blind to anything that could be out there.
Okay.
Which would ultimately push back what that NEPA, when we would get back that concurrence, if we do that, get back a categorical exclusion concurrence. If we don't have all that information up front, they'll just delay the process.
Or require us to redesign if something shows up later.
Yeah.
So we really want to do our due diligence now.
Okay.
Yeah, question. So from what I'm hearing, and this is just more just to make sure I'm following along, what we're looking at here, the hours are just more of a preliminary, I guess, spreadsheet of hours, right? And then the expectation is that we'll be receiving an updated version, right? Once you have
Yes.
first.
And so this
Okay.
is mostly for the architectural and engineering piece of it. It does not include this construction. So
Okay.
and it all correlates with the scope of work that was included in your materials. So this is kind of a lot of information. I just wanted to make sure you, since I'm not including a rate sheet in the contract, I mostly just wanted you to understand what I am including in the contract to understand what the kind of expectations are for this project and the work that we will be requiring of STD in order to complete what is in the scope of work.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
And then we are expecting to amend the contract once we get through these phases, which is expected to take about 12 months, to include the additional estimates for the remainder of the work.
Design, construction management.
Mhm.
So set for later.
Yeah. Did that answer your question, Giselle?
It did, yes, thank you.
Okay. So is there any other additional questions? So
Okay.
just a reminder, the two items kind of that we're asking for approval or review discussion is the contract for STV that would allow us to just generally move forward. And then also the task order one, which would approve that $50,000 where we would allow STV to move forward. Now, of course, you can approve the contract without approving the task order, or you can say that you would rather feel comfortable with the task order being a lower amount until we have more information.
Can we have just prove them both in one motion?
You can, I would just ask to be called up, both of them to be called up.
I don't know, $50,000 kind of somewhat low risk, not, I mean, if we don't get reimbursed for it, it's not gonna cripple us or something like that if we have to carry that for a while.
Rounding error for this project.
Matt, you unmuted yourself for a second, but I saw you.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm just sort of a noob at Zoom and I've lost like the main screen, but I'm okay. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, thank you, Amy, for that, and Josh. So on 6A, I would entertain a motion if somebody wanted to put those together or separately. Fine.
Yeah, so I move to approve the contract with STV and task order 1
Okay, for the amount of,
and the amount of $50,000.
okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Any further discussion on this?
And the only question I've got is, are we actually gonna get a report for the $50,000, something we can look at and read? And is that 12 months? Is that what your 12 months was?
No, sorry, the 12 months would be the entire scope of work
Okay,
that was included. That was included the hours. The $50,000, so that would get us the specific tasks that were listed in the task order. And we can provide a report of
And
on
what-
a monthly basis is where we are on that.
so that's a monthly basis of the deadline. I mean, is there a timeline for that or?
For how much will be spent that 50,000?
Yep, and when we get something we can read.
I believe we had on the task order, I think it was December 31st when that estimate was. But I honestly, I'd have to confirm with Josh of if he thinks that will be done in 3 months or,
We haven't developed the full schedule yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know in our intent is to start generating technical memos very near term. So for staff to do and then decide which share.
and I think our intent moving forward is just on a monthly basis. We'll share just where we are in this project in general.
Yeah, I saw that in there. It's like a monthly update.
So Josh, as far as like the different phases of this, like you guys are involved through the entire phase and construction management oversight of bidding through architects. You have like all the different phases lined out of how the project proceed after this first phase.
There's a lot of flexibility built into this to design the kind of projects that we need.
Yeah.
So I'd say there's placeholders for some of the later phases where we haven't costed those yet or
right.
Set hours to them. We know who we intend to use in those positions. And for that work, and we have the folks available. Does that answer your question?
Sort of.
We haven't completed all of the scope yet.
Okay.
Typically it would be till after the contract's signed to really dig into that. And then additionally, just to clarify, there's kind of two phases that we're talking about interchangeably. There's task order 1, which allows us to move forward with specific tasks. But when we looked at the scope, phase 1 really includes everything that was in that big massive document that has lots of description and doesn't say to be scoped at a further time. All of those hours go into that scope. So the task order 1 is a really small part of that.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion passes. All right.
And then since I said I would let Josh introduce himself, but I didn't. If Josh, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Happy to do so. And I know you all have a packed agenda, so I'll keep it zippy. Thank you for having me here. I am just up the street. I can walk right down. I'm happy to come any month for any questions you all have. So I'm local here. I work out of our STV office in Portland. So I'm a cat rider and a cat booster, both in the neighborhood and in the industry. STV is a planning, architecture, and engineering firm. We also do environmental. We're based out of New York City, 100-year-old firm, privately held. And we are growing in the Pacific Northwest. We've been here about 15 years, but now really looking at growing. And so we're excited to grow sort of with CAT as CAT grows. And that's so much of what has attracted us to this program and this set of projects is that we feel like it can be really transformational for transit here in Hood River and for the region as a whole. So it's a lot of why we wanted to be involved.
Awesome. I'm glad you're local. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay. We like to do things out of order here. Just okay. We're on to action item 6B, which is election of chair, vice chair, and secretary and treasurer. I don't know what discussions we need to have here.
Well, I can
You're going to
share
help us out. I'm going to
yes.
say, Amy, why don't you take us through this?
All right, I'll do my best. So as required in the bylaws, the board of directors is to elect a chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer each year during the first board meeting in July. The voting process for the chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer must be done in a public setting. These are the board officers that consist of the executive committee. I put all the roles and responsibilities in the memo. Do I need to review them again? No. Okay, cool. So the board should discuss and nominate and then elect board chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer for this next fiscal year. Yes, there's not any questions. I think we can ask if there's any nominations that people would like to add to the table.
Do we have a chair and a vice chair who are willing to continue in their current roles? Because I think they're doing a very good job. So I would throw out that nomination pending, Greg's reaction to that.
No, I told Amy I'm totally open to continue to do it. If somebody else was like, I am super passionate, I need to lead this organization differently and want to do it, I'd be totally open to taking a different position. But I do enjoy working with Amy. We have a good relationship. have to provide kind of the business background and good discussions and continue on in that role.
Well, I'll definitely nominate Greg for chair.
Yeah, I second that nomination. You've been doing great, Greg. And yeah, same thing for with Amy.
So Megan is not here and I wasn't expecting her not to be here. So I do not know what her feelings are.
Well, that when you miss a meeting, you get nominated for stuff.
There you go. Yeah,
I
let's
would
go.
nominate Megan for vice chair. So do we have to vote on the chair? So we have a first and a
I think
second.
what we can probably do is we can wait
Okay.
till we have the nominations for all, and then we can do a vote for all.
All right.
If no one wants to be treasurer, secretary, I'm happy to join the team. I did have a question regarding the assistance of discharging these duties, such as keeping the minutes of the meeting. I think Tia typically takes them, correct?
Yes, and at the very end, it says the secretary treasurer may rely on the executive director and support staff to assist in the discharge of these
Yeah,
duties.
that's why I brought that up.
Yeah. So the Tia and Tim can help assist with that. I think the primary role that I've really appreciated of the secretary treasurer is just really owning the financials and asking all the questions.
But
I'd be
you
happy
already
to.
do, Matt, so I think
All
you'll
right.
be perfect then.
All right.
Sounds like we have our executive committee.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like there's nominations.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to clarify, it's Greg for board chair.
Megan?
Megan, can we maybe have a second for nominating Megan?
A second.
Well, or did I nominate?
I think you know.
Okay.
Matt, you're a second? Oh,
Okay.
sorry, I'm kind of, okay. And then for secretary treasurer, it's Matt is nominated.
I'll make that nomination.
Okay, cool.
And I second that.
All right. And then I think I would say that if for some reason Megan does not feel comfortable with that, then we'll just come back at the August meeting and we'll do this again for the vice chair position.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion on the positions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. All right, we have our executive committee. Thank you for running us through that, Amy.
Thanks, Megan.
We're on to the, I believe the STIF advisory committee bylaws to change those.
Yes, I'll just continue speaking.
Okay.
And talking through all the memos. Sorry, you got a lot of memos from me this time. So the purpose is to review and approve the updated statewide transportation improvement STIF advisory committee bylaws. Due to a recent rule change made to the STIF program by the Oregon Transportation Commission and changes made during the last state of Oregon legislative session, revisions must be made to our STIF advisory committee bylaws. These revisions are necessary to ensure that the district remains compliant with the STIF program requirements. Also, while we are making these updates, we identified an opportunity to revise Article 5, Section 2, term of office. The current bylaws limit STIF advisory committee members to 2 consecutive terms. The term limit is not required, and a review of other agencies' bylaws found that most do not include this restriction. Removing this limit would allow the district to retain experienced committee members whose knowledge and participation have provided significant value to the committee. Staff will be continuing to bring committee applications to the board for approval at the end of each member's 3-year term if they decide they would like to continue. I have included the red line copies or copy of the bylaws for your review, and also listed the different changes in correlating page numbers. So the ask is that you review the draft bylaws and approve or recommend changes.
It's nice we have a willing member to continue on that committee.
Mm-hmm. Any questions?
That was a good catch on the term limit, though. I like to hear that we're gonna remove that barrier.
Yeah, it just seemed like we have some really engaged members. And the intent is to ensure that our community is represented. And it would be a shame to get rid of those members, just for that reason.
Thank you. Any further questions there? Okay, would entertain a motion to approve the STIF Advisory Committee bylaws.
So move.
Thank you, Matt. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed or contrary minded? All right, chair votes aye. 6C has passed. We're on to 6D, approval of the STIF Advisory Committee applications.
All right, I'm gonna give Amy a break.
Yes,
All right, the STIF Advisory Committee currently has vacant positions. Staff have received an application from a community member who represents several of the required groups, including low-income individuals, individuals aged 65 and older, and people with disabilities. So we are asking that the board review the submitted application and vote to appoint Rebecca Schilling to the STIF Advisory Committee. Were there any questions about her application or the committee itself?
I'd like to add that, so Rebecca is part of the LEAD program, which operates out of the Hood River County Sheriff's Department. And they work with a lot of our riders who are, they represent the low-income individuals, seniors, and individuals with disabilities, and they work with them a lot. So I think she is really a good voice to represent some of those individuals.
okay. Perfect.
Well, I move to approve the vacant seat being filled by Rebecca Schilling.
Thank you, Matt. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Thank you, Giselle. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Chair votes aye. 6D has passed. All right, we're on to 6E, approval eligible check signers, because somebody's gonna leave us for a little bit. I don't know who, but I'm gonna take my guess.
Right, so the purpose of this agenda item is to formally authorize designated board members and staff as eligible check signers for Hood River County Transportation District's financial accounts. In 2020, the board updated its internal financial controls to reduce the number of eligible check signers from the full board to the executive committee, executive director, and operations manager. If needed, the board members may be added as eligible check signers if approved by the board. What does that say?
In order to submit.
Okay, sorry. In order to submit the list of eligible check signers to district's financial institutions, the board must formally vote and approve an updated list for the eligible check signers on an annual basis. So with the change in executive committee, adding Matt, because you and Megan are currently eligible check signers, we would just need approval adding Matt, removing Tamara, and then continuing Amy and Jeff's authority.
And Greg and
Like maintaining.
Okay. We have a motion.
Probably shouldn't make that motion, right? To add myself to sign checks.
Well, yeah, Jim, do you
I'll
wanna
make
that
the motion.
I'll make the motion to add Matt to the signing, and who else am I adding?
Well, we keep Greg and Megan on there,
Right.
Amy, Jeff,
and Tia, or not Tia, sorry.
not yet.
Who's new? Matt
Not-
and Matt's the only new one?
And remove,
That's the only one that moved tomorrow.
and move Tamara.
Okay, yep.
Well said. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Gisela. Any further discussion on the check signing? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Okay, any opposed? All right, we have new check signers. Temporary banking access is what we need to use for you. I just kind of got it a little bit wrong. Okay, we're on to 6F.
It's all related.
It's all related.
So the purpose of this is to request temporary authority for the operations manager or Jeff actually to transfer funds between district accounts and access credit card statements while I'm on protected leave from August 3rd through October 26th. The district's financial management policy allows the executive director to move funds between the different district accounts without board approval, provided the transfers align with the approved budget. This practice maximizes interest earnings while keeping the operating account within FDIC insurance limits. We have 4 accounts that at specific times require transfers. I'm not going to go through each specific one since they are in the memo and the meeting materials. But after each transfer, the executive director sends the office manager and outside accountant an email notification with a screenshot of the completed transaction, and the transfer is documented in QuickBooks. And each transfer, there's a specific reason for it. Again, that's laid out in the memo. As I will not be available due to protected leave, a different staff member needs temporary transfer authority and credit card account access to ensure the district can continue its normal cash management practices and meet payroll and other financial obligations without interruption to operations. All transfers are reviewed by the office manager and reconciled by the outside accountant monthly. To maintain separation of duties, neither the office manager nor the outside accountant may make these transfers or have access to the credit card account, which is why the operations manager is recommended to perform these duties while I'm gone. So the action required, so I'm asking the board to discuss and vote to approve Jeff to have advanced banking authority to transfer funds through district financial accounts and have access to the credit card account, with allowing him to view statements during my leave. This authority would expire upon my return.
I would make that motion. Would you like me to repeat the action for specificity in this case?
If you could, that would be wonderful.
No worries. Yes, I vote to approve operations manager Jeff for having advanced banking authority to transfer funds between the district's financial accounts and have access to the credit card account, allowing him to view statements during Amy's leave. The authority will expire upon Amy's return to work.
Perfect. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Chair votes aye. We're approved there. On to 6G, approval of auto pay vendors.
All right, so per Hood County Transportation District's financial management policy, staff must present the ACH vendor list to the board annually for review and approval. This year, staff have removed 2 vendors from the list because they are no longer in use. Fleetio, previously used for our vehicle maintenance tracking. We have transitioned over to Spare EAM, and Unite GPS, previously used for route scheduling, and we have as well transitioned over to Spare. Did anybody have any questions on the list that was included of the ACH vendors?
Can I get a list of what they do at some point? And I see United still on this list, and
I'm also noting to you that Gorge Janitorial Services is on here, and it should be United Janitorial. Are they not?
Gorge Janitorial is the
that's right.
local.
Yeah.
So Jen, you noted that Unite GPS is still on here, although it's called out up above.
Good catch.
Same thing with Fleetio. It's on that list up top.
what's jot form? Is that how you pronounce that? JOTFORM?
Yes, JotForm is an internal platform that we use that captures like our incident reports, our credit card receipts,
applications.
Applications, employee reimbursements. It's just a really handy portal that employees can access to complete different tasks that we maintain access to.
And how about Gusto?
Gusto is our HR and payroll platform.
So of this list, besides the Unite GPS, is there any others that need to be removed? Is that?
United Fleet,
Yeah.
And you say anytime anything's automatic, it's like, oh, I probably should know what it is.
Yeah, and I'm happy to
Just send me that
provide,
list.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, don't be quick about it. You don't have to be super fast, but I would like to familiarize myself with like spare EAM. What's that?
yeah, absolutely. That,
Okay, yeah.
So by the end of the meeting will be done.
I'm trying. No
Okay.
pressure.
So we need a motion to approve minus the two there.
Yeah, sure. I'll move to approve the attached list without Fluidio and Unite GPS.
Thank you, Matt.
Second,
Thank you, Jim. Any further? Not hearing any. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye. We're all set there. Thank you, Pete. Appreciate that. Okay, we're on to operations manager report. Jeff, floor is yours.
Cool. All right. For June 2026, safety scores at a 99 again. We had a little bit of a shuffle between speeding and harsh events. Our harsh events went down and speeding up went up a tiny bit, keeping that 99 balanced out. Our fixed OTP, we're still not receiving OTP from the spare fixed route software. Our DAR OTP, which is also from spare, is at 98.95%. Vehicle hours driven was 1,341, 44,519 miles driven. So we have less miles, mainly due to Dog Mountain and increase in fuel cost as we all expected at 64 cents per mile. Hopefully see that going down in July. See, in June, we had 1 formal complaint, 3 vehicle incidents, and 7 customer incidents. Were there any questions on any of those or clarification needed? Okay. Employee of the month is Rucker. Rut was hired as a Gorge Mountain driver and has been a very valuable member of the team. He is enthusiastic about driving, especially in challenging conditions, and consistently maintains a positive attitude. Rut is reliable, flexible when schedules change, and always willing to cover shifts when needed. He's great with riders, whether they call or stop by the office, and quickly steps in to help solve problems when fellow drivers need assistance. Rut receives feedback well, applies it constructively, and is always looking ahead with ideas to keep our operations running smoothly. The only other update besides the ridership is our vehicle update for the 2 Freightliners is they just finished wrapping them, and we actually have hired don't remember the name of their business, but their names are Kimberly and Nora. They take RFQs, they take your RFQ and do vehicle inspections. So normally we have our vehicles come out here and we kind of inspect them ourselves when they're new. And you know, if something isn't right or they miss something in the manufacture process, we generally have to send them back to Portland or have somebody, you know, one of our mechanics work on stuff for warranty. So, you know, we've had issues with some technology in the past that sometimes can take, you know, up to, you know, months for us to get resolved. So they are going to be on site in Portland to review compare our RFQ to what we actually to the actual vehicle, and so if there's any issues, they can resolve them down at Shecky's warehouse.
Is that like $700 or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's like 750.
Okay.
And this is a company that actually several other rural transit agencies use, and they found it very helpful, just reducing problems that occur when the buses arrive, to what Jeff explained. But it's also reimbursable to the grant as well.
Okay.
Okay, on to ridership. Overall, we were down from last month. That's mainly from the reduction in service because Dog Mountain ended. We did have one weekend of Dog Mountain. We are up from last year, and our CGE is way up from last month and last year, almost a thousand riders. 40s per hours was down a little bit. Overall hours was also down a little bit. I think that's all I really wanted to call out on that. Do you have anything else, Amy?
I think just that the Upper Valley continues to decrease the fixed route. And I think we just need to continue to keep an eye on that. And if we're not able to increase that ridership, we might need to look at that a little bit more.
Okay.
So just something to have on your radar.
Any questions for Jeff? Okay, cool, thanks. Amy, Executive Director report,
Oh, yes.
agenda item 8.
All right, thank you. So the first item is board member openings. The intent is just to update the board that we still have 2 board member openings and no applications at this time. We do have some interest expressed though, so that's good to hear. And the openings have been sent throughout the community, so they're being advertised. Although I do ask that you continue to advertise through your different networks. And our hope is to have at least one applicant to bring to you next board meeting.
Okay.
But until then, just a reminder, we are really short on quorum. So if for some reason you can't come, understand that. But please just let us know as soon as possible so that we can have our plan in place.
We're attending, we can adjust the schedule to get to quorum items, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Are you gonna talk a Rotary tomorrow to
Yes,
ask for?
I will. I'll do
So
that.
that's
Are you
what's
going to be there to help me advocate for it?
Maybe.
All right, so second is annual conflict of interest statements. Just wanted to remind the board that the annual conflict of interest statements need to be signed this year. Please get it done by the end of the month if possible. We do have some extras here for those who are here. Thanks, Greg, for already signing that. The next is just the updated work plan. We did include that in the board meeting materials. The intent is just share the updated work plan. There's no action required at this time. We have made significant progress on large projects and removed projects that were completed as of the May meeting that we shared with you. I did keep the completed projects on there that we have completed since the May meeting, just for your awareness. And we updated the work plan to reflect the work anticipated for the next 6 months. It is a little lighter than the last work plan because I will not be here for a large chunk of that. So is there any questions from the work plan?
Thanks for keeping us updated on that.
I think some things that we still continue that we need to work on completing is the dispatch technology SOPs and just documentation. There have been a couple of things that have just delayed that process. And then the other thing is to get that driver handbook done, which we're working on, but taking time.
Okay. I think we just checked off one of the lists.
I did.
That's good.
Yes, I like putting that completed thing
All
right
right,
next to
perfect.
those items.
Okay, any other questions for Amy? All right, does the board have any discussion items? Seeing some head shaking. Any upcoming events anybody like to discuss? We have the financial audit on August 10th through the 12th. Okay. Always exciting. Any other events people want to make people aware of? We're making a talk about biking events and some other stuff. Okay, Not hearing any. We're on to agenda item 11, with the entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will so move.
Thank you, Matt. A second.
I second.
Thank you, Gisella. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Hi.
Chair votes aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Matt, Gisella, Jim, thank you very much. Josh.
Your dinner is almost out of favor.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Have a great
Thank you.
Wednesday.